You are watching AAU Talks on AAU TV, the voice of higher education in Africa, and right here at the Cape Coast Technical University, we're having series of discussions on higher education advancement, and this session or this episode is no different. We're looking at the 21st century learning curricula and its contribution to lifelong learning or livelihood support. The arguments still bruises, the brewing arguments about the contribution of an evolving curricula or a stable one towards their contribution for students' ability to earn a livelihood or to be able to attain lifelong learning. So with me today is someone in this area who would help us delve deeper and understand the essence of an evolving curricula, the 21st century curricula, and its role, either learning, lifelong learning, or livelihood support. Stay with us, we'll be right back. You're welcome back on AAU Talks, the voice of higher education in Africa, and I'm joined here by Mr. Eugene Acheampong here at the Cape Coast Technical University. Eugene, you're welcome to AAU Talks.
Thank you very much.
Splendid. Today we're looking at quite a compelling matter on curricula, which is like the decider of fate for students in institutions. That's what they have to ride on and live on. But today we're experiencing an high evolving rate of curricular changes to the level of 21st century level, where we say it has an impact either on lifelong learning or livelihood support. What is the point?
Well, thank you very much. That's an interesting question, and I think it's a topic for debate.
Sure.
You see, the curriculum of our institutions, in particular higher education, is the quality of it is what reflects in the caliber of human capital that we bring out or retain. Now, if the curriculum is not tailored or does not meet the skill requirement for 21st century jobs, then of course it is not worth using that curriculum. Basically, the quality of one's education is multifactorial, and the quality of the curriculum is what makes the difference. And if you look at Africa in general, I stand to be corrected in a way. But if you look at the curriculum, it is like we are trained to recite certain things, or we follow a routine way of doing things without any creativity, innovation, and all that. I think it is the advent of technology that people, especially the young, are beginning to embrace technology, especially social media, to be more creative, to do things on their own. But I believe that if Africa wants to grow and compare itself with the developed economies, obviously, we need to embrace technology fully. We need to have 24/7 internet connectivity everywhere, regardless of location, so that people can take advantage and learn on their own. The concept of lifelong learning started somewhere in the 18th centuries by Grundtvig. And of course, in the 18th century, he developed it, and the emphasis was on vocational education. And of course, a man called Comenius also came and also supported it somewhere. Then in the early 1970s, the UN also came out to also transform it, to place emphasis on lifelong learning. Because we realized that human beings without learning, basically we are valueless. It's learning that makes the difference. It's learning that makes us who we are. And lifelong learning starts way back from the womb, before you grow. But of course, officially, people become conscious, when people become conscious of themselves, let's say at the age of 12 or sometimes 18 years going, depending upon the maturity level, then they begin to take responsibility for their own livelihood. And that is where they begin to appreciate the need for lifelong learning. And in my opinion, I think that the issue of access and quality, access to education these days, and quality of education, and of course the use of distance learning has made lifelong learning a very critical matter of concern for us in the developing economies. Because we want to develop. And if you want to develop, you need people who can learn on their own. So if you look at lifelong learning, basically, it also has to do with some bit of adult education. Because when somebody, you see, because it starts from the day we are born to the day it ends the day we die. Now, adults, sometimes when they go on retirement, those who have had the chance to go to formal education, when they go on retirement, they think that learning ceases. And that is basically a misconception. It's something that is not tolerated. And somebody, if somebody learns through the informal way, the person thinks that he or she hasn't learned. And that is a misconception. Because actual training starts from the house before somebody goes to school to learn the formal way. So I believe that the issue of lifelong learning permeates through every sector of the human life. You can't cease learning till you die.
You know, there are also some counter arguments against what you said regards to lifelong learning. That depicts you are an adept advocate for lifelong learning.
Of course.
But some also believe that lifelong learning without an impact in livelihood support is meaningless. What was your rebuttal to this?
You see, there should be a relationship. You can't learn without getting some knowledge to do certain things. You learn to acquire skills. We learn to acquire knowledge. Of course, the skill is the vocation. So we can't learn aimlessly. And that is why we have a concept we call independent or self-directed learning. When you identify your discrepancy in terms of skill, then you learn to fill the gap. If you are an entrepreneur, if you're a trader, and you know that you lack some skill in customer service, you learn that aspect to fill the gap in skill you have there. So I believe that it is something, those who are saying that there's no link, maybe they have not looked at the concept clearly, the two concepts. Because you learn to make impact. You learn to transform society. You learn to make a living. And of course, lifelong learning is not just about you going to school. It relates to formal, informal, and semi-formal. So at every stage, regardless of the place or environment you find yourself, you learn. Not only in the classroom, but you learn purposefully to fill a gap in skill that you have in relation to a particular job that you're doing. So if we learn for learning's sake, then there's no need learning at all. So for livelihood support system, people have to make a living. If you look at African in general, I think majority of our youth are not working. And of course, if in Ghana, I think the unemployment rate is about 20 to 24% or so, if I'm not mistaken. It is going up. And the concept of lifelong learning in relation to livelihood support system is very fundamental. If you want to bridge the gap in skill or in employment, this is what we need. This is the way forward. And of course, if you look at the early pioneers of lifelong learning, the emphasis was on vocational and technical education and training. And unfortunately for us, we look down on vocational and technical education and training. And the history has been that people who are school dropouts or people who couldn't make it to the traditional universities in our context are people who have to go to traditional, who have to go to do vocational or technical education and training. But that is a complete misconception. That is basically the woes of Africans or our development. It's a big stampede to our growth and development, because if you have this conception, then of course you're not going anywhere. And that's why I believe that, and currently the African leaders are also beginning to wise up, realizing that no, the need for us to emphasize on the STEM is very critical. That is science, technology, engineering, mathematics, because that is the way to go now. The developed economies thrive or succeeded or have thrived and continue to thrive based on the STEM. To us, it is a long story. It's a long story. And I believe that lifelong learning will give us the support and will make people self-directed learners, of course, able to do things by themselves. And before you realize, we will be growing. If the mechanic knows that, no, after formal education, I need to learn on my own to also acquire the skills, I can do that. And now technology has made things very easy for us. You can go to YouTube with demonstrations and everything. You learn how to fix machines. You learn how to operate the computer. You learn how to do the keyboarding and all that. So we have access to technology. Globalization we can't do without. And technology is the basis of globalization. And lifelong learning will help you embrace it. Now we have digital technology. And now the lifelong learning issue is becoming more technologically inclined issue. Because the digital skill gap is widening. And we need to bridge that gap. If we don't bridge that gap, regardless of what we learn, we can still not be able to make a life for ourselves.
What would you say if concerns rise with regards to the 21st century education and the African way of education? Is there a big half that has to be divided to bring to par African way of education and into the 21st century way of education?
Interesting. You see, interestingly, one of the interesting areas of research to me currently is technology.
Okay.
Of course, we have a huge gap when it comes to the Africa. I think a report, I've forgotten the I think the NMC report 2018 and 2019 indicated clearly that Africa is going to lack about 50 million jobs because of digital skills. And as we go forward, we are going to have more jobs created, but you wouldn't need any traditional way of doing it, but we need a digital skill to be able to do that. So 21st, like we began with the curriculum, 21st century curriculum should reflect what is happening. And unfortunately, our curriculum is not reflecting because there's a huge gap in the issue of technology integration in what we learn, in what we teach. So basically, we need to be able to speed up the process. African leaders, I believe, must speed up the procurement of computers and all its related accessories so that people in the remote areas or urban centers can take advantage and learn on their own. Sometimes you don't need to go to classroom to do formal learning. Sometimes in the market, now we're emphasizing on what they call digital economy. I think our vice president has been saying it all the time.
Yeah.
What is digital without access to internet connectivity? What is digital without access to the computers, the resources you will need? You want money transfer electronically. You want to register a business electronically. This requires digital skill.
Yeah.
And if the gap persists or keeps widening, then where are we going? Then of course we can. I always say that if you want to be able to catch the advancement with the developed economy, then we need to take seriously the issue of technology. If not, we will not go anywhere.
This is Cape Coast Technical University.
Yeah.
One of the universities well structured and well positioned with the technological agenda. You also contribute your quota globally.
Yes.
The question is, how have you been able to diversify your teaching or your pedagogies to infuse in the 21st century ingredients when it comes to knowledge impact?
Right. Interestingly, my PhD study focused on educational technology integration in teaching.
Okay.
In Ghanaian technical universities.
You're the right person.
So, so I was just looking at how faculty members are resourced in terms of technological training to be able to impart knowledge. You see, now the emphasis is on blended learning, a bit of technology and a bit of the traditional mode of teaching. But the first thing to go by is that we incorporate technology teaching. It should be a training for faculty members. In our institution, occasionally we have that kind of training for faculty members. And even COVID-19 will tell you that if faculty members are not equipped with technology, then of course you can't live up to expectation. You know what, when we had COVID-19, I'm just using it as a point of reference, my study really taught me a whole lot of things. That a lot of people, faculty members, who do not have access to technology, they have to stay at home with the students also apart without teaching and learning. When government even gave us the opportunity to come back to school, some technical universities, they have to stay as long as 12 weeks. While some universities that has access to technology and faculty members were trained using learning management system, they were in their respective houses and were doing the teaching.
Yes.
But students have to come to school in the midst of COVID-19 with so many, we have to put measures in place so that teaching and learning can go on. If we're able to use technology, it is incorporated in our curriculum, faculty members are well equipped, they have access to the resources, laptops, computer, 24/7 internet connectivity, you wouldn't have any difficulty. That is the way to go as technical university. And of course, that is the way to go even as a nation. Because without the digital skill by faculty, it will be difficult for students to incorporate technology in their learning. And that is how students have mobile phones. They can access information worldwide, but unfortunately, they use the mobile phone for social media activities, WhatsApp, play music, where they can get resources online and learn. They can do independent learning over there. I particularly, I allow my students to bring mobile phones to the classroom. I send my course outlines, I send every resource to them via to the mobile phone. They other WhatsApp platform online. So how will I go to the class? If you come to class and I raise a concept, I ask you to contribute. I expect that within 2 minutes, you go to your mobile phone, search online, get information, you do independent learning. In my absence, you can learn. Excuse me, when you're in the washroom, you can learn. When you're in a car, you can, every place you find yourself, you can learn. That is the power of technology. And that is why it has become very critical for us to incorporate that in our teaching and learning. If we don't do that, I can't imagine the quality of the human capital we can develop with that technology in our current dispensation. Then of course, we are not part of the world. And if you look at the difference between technology, the difference between the developing economy and the developed economy, basically the difference is technology.
Yeah.
They are advanced in that.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about era of artificial intelligence. We're talking about the robotics era. Where are we? Where do we stand? What can we do? We just assemble a Pragia and some other, but do we make them? We don't do it. And all is based on technology. And fortunately for our school, we are privileged. Now we have what they call the AVIC Center, where it has been stocked with the state-of-the-art technology. And of course, people from far and near will come and train and learn. Recently, the school too has a memorandum of understanding or partnership with the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, where the small enterprise owners will come. We have training programs for them, those adults, those young ones. Then we can also give them some kind of training, this technological training, this lifelong skill that they need to acquire for them to do their business. Because we also look at the issue of employment gap in our country. Now it keeps widening. People finish school, thousands of people finish school every year. They're not getting jobs. They're seeking white-collar jobs. Whereas they have the capabilities. When we're able to unearth it, they can make millions to support the country's development. But we don't have access to those things. So we believe that taking advantage of technology via the AVIC center we have there and the partnership with the industry will help us bring all those folks in the informal sector on board to acquire certain skills, basically digital skills, to be able to operate their business as well. Now you can't even do marketing without mobile phone, WhatsApp, Facebook. You can take advantage of that to advertise the product. These are skills, 21st century skills that business people, regardless of your education, you need to be able to do your business. So the digital skills is very fundamental, honestly. If you don't have it, you can grow. If you don't have it, you can succeed. If you don't have it, you become stagnant. That is the nature, and that is where our curriculum should be tailored to meet the skills demand of the 27. Because all the jobs today, assuming that you are training a secretary. Now a secretary just learn the concept, but doesn't know how to operate the photocopier. Now we have 3-in-1 photocopier machine and all that. Doesn't know how to use the computer, how to install software, or how to install these antivirus on the computer. Then if you're not a secretary, you can't even cope with the conditions of the 21st century job. Because over there, they use technology. And if the training does not reflect what they use there, then of course you still have the gap. That is why we've been talking about the skill gap between industry and students from Institute of Higher Learning. Because the gap is technology. The gap is the technological gap, or the digital skill gap. You don't have it. Assuming you're an engineering student, they go to industry, they use the computer and other software to design, building, as the architect, a mechanic, to do all these things, to identify the fault in vehicles and all that. If the student doesn't know how to use this software, so what kind of training have we given to the student? And that is why industry, I'm not surprised, they're requesting for people who have some relevant job experience before you can use their facilities or machines to do their jobs. And that is why Institute of Higher Learning must take it as a matter of urgency to incorporate technology, regardless of the course the person is doing. So the person will leave the institution with that kind of digital skill to meaningfully contribute to the development of our economy, our industry.
Great. So if you just joined in, and we're talking about the need for the 21st century curricula and what it contributes to students who are the core people and at a point of transformation for lifelong learning or for livelihood support, and it's been supercharged. Great conversation thus far with you, Eugene Acheampong. We'll go for a show, we'll come back. We'll talk more about the purpose of the 21st century curricula and the role of higher education institutions in Africa to ensure that it's up to its maximum. We'll be right back. So welcome back on AAU Talks, the voice of higher education in Africa. We're talking about the 21st century education and how necessary and what it calls for here in the African higher education setting due to our way of doing things in the African way. But yet, is there a need for us to embrace the 21st century education? But let's look at it from this way, Mr. Eugene. The focus of the 21st century education, you mentioned that it needs technology. It needs some practicality. It needs some digital features. But one will ask, what exactly is the purpose or the focus or the reason, the essence of this 21st century education? What is it in essence to me?
If I'm to be very precise with you, the answer is to meet the 21st century job. Because the skill requirement of industry is digital skills. So if you don't prepare a curriculum, of course, a curriculum contains the information that you are going to use to train the student. And the student are the product you are going to fill the industry. So if you don't restructure the curriculum to reflect the demands of industry, then of course you are not doing any good to your students. You are wasting state resources, I must put it that way. So our curriculum should reflect. That is why, if you look at the Ghana Teacher Education Commission, without partnership with industry, it will be difficult for your curriculum to be approved. You can't run it because they expect to see that at least we have professional bodies, we have industry also making making point, also incorporating the ideas into the curriculum that you prepare for training of the higher in higher education. So the curriculum to me is the magic. You see, if you train a student or a group of people with a bad curriculum, expect to have bad people, and of course that's amount to waste of human resource.
Let's be very demonstrable here in this case. Here at CCTU, what are some of the 21st century education curricula-like programs you run here? And what are some of the approaches you took in ensuring that you build these programs to fit the 21st century standard?
Well, let me use my own department as a reference point before I go to the other department. You see, technology keeps evolving.
Yeah.
We used to have the typewriter.
Yes, the one that makes noise.
As a means for text processing. But we realized that no, there's a need for us to make a quick change because we don't use it again. Unfortunately, some offices in the country use typewriter, but I don't think that is the ideal way to go. So you've changed the training, now they're using the computer. And now if we are moving ahead, that at least if students could procure even laptops. And even the SRC, I believe some time ago, they initiated something of that nature. At least, and of course, even engineering. Now everything they do is with the computer and with their own software. Now the Department of Accounting also do the computerized accounting with accounting software. Marketing is going digital marketing. So you realize that our curriculum, if you look at the courses in the curriculum, we have, if I'm not mistaken, we have about 30 to 40% being technology inclined courses. And this tells you how we are trying to position ourselves to be able to equip our students with the requisite human capital or human competences to be able to meet the jobs in the industry. Engineering, thanks for the AVIC Center, basically a world-class infrastructure that we have here. It's going to train electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, civil engineers. And you realize that they are not just going to face their teacher in the classroom and interact, but they'll go to the laboratory, they will learn with the machines. At the industry, they will have access to the machine, they become used to. Now the experience is there. They're not going to create mistakes, they're not going to waste resources in the industry. And that is the kind of thing we are doing. And I think our management and our institution in general are making a lot of effort in positioning the university to that level. And I am happy to be here because I believe that we are gradually changing. We are changing the face of our curriculum to meet the needs of the 21st century. I'm not being boastful, but it's something that I see. It's something that I witness. It's something that I use in my teaching. So I believe that we are making headway. But of course, as Olivia, we need to always do more. There's always more room for improvement.
If you were to share some of these approaches, very viable approaches that other institutions should take or toe on to ensure that they also try and then dig into developing 21st century curriculums, what would be these approaches you want to share?
Oh, ideally, I would just request that they invest more in technology. Look at your specific subject area. Of course, investment in technology is very expensive, but that is I see it as the best option this time around. Sacrifice money for investment, especially teaching resources and learning resources for the student. The essence for them is to let acclimatize to the system before they go out of the university. So investment in it, providing 24/7 internet is very fundamental. If you procure the materials or the technologies, in terms of the tools or the devices, without internet connectivity, they can't explore. If you want students to explore, faculty to explore, get resources, they can do that. Now, thankfully, the developed world have made things very easy for us. Now we have the YouTube videos, they do demonstrations for us. So if you are teaching, if you want to do, let's say, records management, you have a YouTube video, you can learn from that. If you want to diagnose any mechanical fault in a car, there are tools that you can procure and do that. It's not about the try and error. Now you buy your Mercedes Benz, you take it to the studio, and people have to do try and error before they realize the whole Benz is sport. Now there are machines that you can use to detect and maintain your car. I believe that they have to invest more in technology, getting the devices, the laptops, the infrastructure like internet connectivity, train faculty, train students. You see, sometimes the emphasis is on faculty, neglecting the student. Because faculty, assuming faculty is well aware and knows how to operate the technology, and the student does not know how to operate it, then of course you can do it. I had a recent publication with one of my PhD supervisors. We are looking at faculty who are digital leaders. And realize that if faculty members are not inclined, they can't use it. My brother, how can students use technology? Because you are the role model. You have to set the pace, set the example. So faculty will have to be trained. And management of institutions, technical universities for that matter, should invest more resources in procuring the state-of-the-art technology for use by faculty and for students. Senior, if we don't do that, then we always pay lip service. Or we are saying that, we live in the digital world. But we are not investing in it. If you're not investing, you can't just pay the lip service to it and say that you're going to develop. If you do that, the developed economy will keep laughing at us. They will come and dump the used computers and everything on us. And you think that you are advantaged. No. Now see the technology we are using now. They are into artificial intelligence, robotics. I wonder if any industry or university in Ghana has developed a robot or has veered towards the artificial intelligence concept. No. Now we're talking about personalized learning. How far have we educated people on that? Even the concept of self-directed learning with technology, how far? We have not gone anywhere. Honestly, though we are making effort, but our effort, this must be, we need to do more. Now, assuming our vice president say, digital economy, then a lot of the masses of the populace are not digitally inclined. Then what are we talking about? If the one in the village where lifelong learning should be key, they don't have access to education there, either formal or informal way. They are all in the informal sector. They are doing business. They still keep money, or they tie money with their cloth and all that, when they can put the money on their phone. People can't even transfer money from their bank to their phone and make online payment. You have to always go with cash. Even some shops do not even accept digital electronic payment. Then we are saying we are moving digital way. I think we need to do more. So if you emphasize on lifelong learning, then of course the digital skills training should go through every aspect. And I say that if you want to do it, if you educate the student in that manner, they will go educate their parents. In that case, you are transferring learning from one person to the other, and they'll make the businesses grow. And Ghana will be a better place for all of us to live in. If we don't do that, if teachers don't know how to use the technology, if universities are not investing in it, if students are not learning from teachers, I don't have role models they can learn from, then I doubt if we can make any headway in this area.
I think you have to appreciate the thrill at this moment that we need. It's a whole deliberate effort to ensure that we cling to the 21st century form of education, which is standard and stands on technology. And CCTU has shared their story about their 21st century education agenda and how technology plays a key role in ensuring that they have the best approaches and a great impact as such. And what is the story for your institution as well? Are you also developing more of the 21st century of learning with technology as its bedrock? well, your guess is as good as mine because we need to get to that zenith. So this is where time affords us on this episode of AAU Talks as we discuss 21st century education and its effect on lifelong learning or livelihood support. But according to Dr. Eugene Acheampong, he says that if lifelong learning becomes a focus, livelihood support is just an accompaniment. And that's great having you on AAU Talks to discuss this topic. So just catch us next time on AAU Talks. Be safe, have a nice day, and bye.